everyone, to the Elephants on Business podcast, improving your small business journey together one episode at a time. Today, Oz, we're talking about the big R word, recession.
Great to be back, and
great to be back and talking about
it. Yeah,
freaking recession. And so, today's episode, we wanted to just highlight, obviously, what a recession is for people that don't know. It sounds a bit technical, but it's not. And also just talk about our experience with what it means for a small business.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll dive into it. Oz, talk to me. What is a recession? What does it all mean?
Yeah. So essentially, there is a little bit of news out there, and you can see, people are slowly starting to talk about it in a sense. And basically, what it means is it's just a period of slowdown for the overall economy in general. So, what does that mean for everyone in a sense? It's essentially, people might not spend as much. They review things, but essentially there's a bit of a slowdown. People might tighten up their belt in terms of that spending. You can see from obviously the inflation data's come out recently. That's been pretty high at 6.1. They've said so. There's a lot of talk out there that maybe there's a recession sort of looming or potentially going to happen, but you don't really know until
numbers come out.
Yeah, until the numbers come out. So
for people listeners out there, to classify a recession, it's 2 negative quarters of GDP contraction. So
correct.
GDP is just gross domestic product. It's just a figure that is to just say how much a country's producing. If you're producing less than the last quarter 2 times in a row, you're going backwards.
6 months,
It's the same as if your income was to go backwards or your net savings was to go backwards. Then you're like, oh, that's not very good. Same thing. At a high level, people go, oh, you want an economy to grow at a healthy rate. If it goes backwards, people go, well, that is technically a recession. You might hear that word, technical recession. That just means when the 2 numbers pop out, I have to classify this as a recession.
And then there's obviously different types of recessions, how big or how bad that recession may be.
And lots of drivers to the different types of recession. I'm sure there was a lot more than I know, but for my lifetime, it was 1989-ish. Yeah. Then the dot-com kind of recession. But before then, the rates were quite high. Then you kind of had GFC.
Yeah, which was 2008.
Then you kind of have COVID. I don't know if COVID's a recession or not. I don't know, but you call all that. But then, the rule of thumb in finance and all this economic stuff is the world is cyclical. There's ups, there's boom periods, there's periods of flattening, there's periods of down, and there's periods of recessions. And that is meant to be healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
You save, you spend, save a little bit more, you spend a bit, and then just the wave keeps going up.
Yep.
And your economy grows. But that's kind of what a recession means. I think the feeling can be very different for a lot of people because recession brings on stress.
Yeah, and it depends what you're doing at that point in time and what classification you might be in. So there is times where people actually lose their jobs in recessions, which is unfortunate, but that can spur on a moment where you find another opportunity that is probably better, or you change careers. So it's not always
a negative
thing.
But at a high level, we always say preparation in small business for kind of these economic uncertainties is the best way to assume the worst, plan for the worst. Is the best way to kind of act, because I don't know, I've just found, and we haven't been in business that long, but it's never as bad as you think. It's never as bad as that article that says we're all gonna die and be on the streets. My opinion is the world is a little bit more civilized than back in the 1900s. Man, I flick a light on, I got lights. I want to go get food, I can get food. It's a lot more advanced. That when a recession comes, I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but it doesn't seem like everyone's gonna be on the street burning. Yeah,
that's what I think as well. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there anyway. Even if there was a recession, there is a lot of opportunity to do certain things. There's now there's the online businesses that you can run. There's potentially you can just do some Uber deliveries. It's you're strapped for cash. Back in the 1900s when you were saying there's probably not too many jobs.
There's not much
around.
Opportunity, right?
There's not too much. There's very little.
Whatever life dealt you, you kind of had to deal with. And again, who knows? But you feel like there's more options and opportunity. I can jump on a plane to a different country. I can do a lot of things. But in reality,
the world's a little bit more connected now.
In reality, I think the word recession gets absolutely blown out of the water because of the stock market and the media. When you are a massive organization, when you are BHP, when you are CBA, a recession affects you a lot because you have 1 million customers or 2 million customers.
Correct. Your market share is very
huge,
high.
right? I think if I talk about CBA, because we know banking really well, CBA is something like 25% of banking income is CBA. Monster business.
Yes.
So when they slow down, it's a big dollar number.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge dollar number. Now, what this podcast is about and what life I'm living and what life Oz is living is small business.
Yeah.
It's small business. So when maybe it goes backwards, but I'm not losing billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's just that you see the share market, oh my gosh, 10% down. You see, BHP, 50% decrease in profit. And you might absorb that into your brain and go, whoa, I'm going to go back 50%. I'm going to have to sell my house. I'm going to have to fire everyone. But it doesn't always play out. I like to think of the GFC, right, where that was probably the biggest recession that I was an adult in.
Yeah.
And it was like the share market 40% down from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Now, for everyone out there, the share market is the top 500 or 1,000 companies in the world. I know, my milk bar stayed open.
Yeah.
Coles was still getting food. You know, things went okay. So,
yeah, you have to really reflect what industry your small business is in.
Maybe we'll talk about that. So, how does your industry impact when you're in a recession? Like, does it change between industries? Is it not?
Of course it would, So, like, obviously, if you're in an industry where it's like a staple industry, so let's say a bakery or something, where you're just selling bread, typically people aren't going to restrict that, right? So they're going to always need that. They might try and substitute it, find cheaper products elsewhere.
Maybe your costs are going up a little bit here and there.
Yeah, exactly. But most likely those type of people will still come back and buy your product.
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence in that example that you'll have no one buy bread for 5 months.
Yeah, exactly. So like if there's a recession, and everything did slow down, it's not as if people are going to be like, well, I'm looking at my personal budget and I'm going to cut bread from my personal budget, and it's like $2-3 sort of cost there.
So that's like an example of staple,
so
very important industry.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, food. and then obviously then
what's the other side?
So you've got that sort of that discretionary spending side, right? So it's, do you actually need it in your life or not? So
I need bread. I need bread for sure.
An example of that would be, maybe
fine dining,
or maybe do you need that handbag, or do you need that expensive shoes? Can you substitute that down for a cheaper brand?
It's not a necessity.
It's not really a necessity. That's
maybe because I'm just feeling stress, I go, I'd rather keep that. Where, well, the $3 bread, I'm going to want some bread.
Yeah.
And I'm going to want to go get pasta. I'm going to go and get the basics. And that's really important to understand, like understanding what a recession or a slowdown means for your specific business in your suburb, in your street is really important. Because I think recession, or the word of a recession, I find paralyzes people. And it paralyzes me. When I hear recession, I'm just sitting here going, shit, now what? I can't move. I don't want to move because I'm shit scared to step left or right and make a mistake. But the reality is maybe it is the time to step left or right and try something, or think about what it actually means for your business.
Yeah, I think it's a time to reset, think about your business, think about exactly what you said. Where do you sit in that market share? And essentially, there might be some opportunities out there that you can take, rather than just being sort of paralyzed there. But it's an opportunity to just maybe, assess your situation, look at your personal budget again, because that's what most people will do in that type of environment. They'll reassess where they're going to be spending their money. They probably won't do that extra holiday, or they won't go out there and do that extra fine dining sort of experience. So you want to assess your business, and you'll also want to assess your personal life in that situation as well.
Which we talked about in the last episode, the importance of that interconnectivity.
Yeah.
I think in a recession, your personal life and business life gets closer and closer.
Correct.
And maybe when it's a boom time and business is going great, you can be very loose in the personal side because everything's going great.
That's exactly right.
And that's the cycle, right? Up and down. I guess one important factor I always think about in terms of, like, again, small business, right? Like us, like most of the businesses out there, small business. When you start, Well, yeah, that time frame's a big thing. So we'll talk about time frame, right? Time frame's a massive thing. You talk about when there's a recession and the shares market drops 40%.
Yes.
What do most people say? I'm scared to buy, but the other side is, man, it's never been cheaper.
Yeah.
I'll buy it and I'll keep it for 30 years, no problem.
Yeah, and then that's generally what you see in the graph, right? So if you look back, typically...
The 40% drop 10 years ago looks tiny compared to now.
To now,
because there's been a boom.
Correct, yeah.
And that mindset of when things go down, get in and invest for the long term, man, I never see that in small business. No one ever says, all good, we'll be fine in 30 years. No one ever says that.
You just look at your monthly P&L and you probably start stressing out.
Yeah.
It's a very important point, like to look at that longer time period. Obviously,
it's not
your
easy.
business probably does grow slowly each year. You if you're running a good business, obviously you'll have that organic growth each year. As you said, maybe you probably won't have, if you're growing organically 5-10%, you're probably going to go down maybe to like 4, 3 or 2. But a positive is still a positive. Or even if you went backwards, let's say -3, or -5. It's not the end of the world.
Well, if you were to look at your small business versus investing in shares, if someone said my shares went back 3% or 10% in a year, a lot of people go, yeah, who cares? Like, you're keeping it forever, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Where if someone goes, my business went 10 back, everyone will be like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you dead? And it's just like, that's the attitude I hate, because it makes small business owners short-sighted. In 10 years from now, the recession will be gone. There might be another recession.
One,
It could be 15 more. All good. But if you're a bakery and you want to have 10 bakery shops, you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
If I want to grow my finance business, or if I want to wholesale food, or if I want to start a logistics business, whatever, I'm going to have to get through these times and kind of just push forward.
Yeah,
because there's going to be another one, and there's no good time. It feels like every year is a war zone. Unfortunately, now I realize I think that's just small business.
Yeah, that's just small business, right?
It's a war zone in the morning.
It is. Every year.
There's
always something to worry about or stress about. And as you said, like, you're going to get up every day and there's going to be an issue that you need to tackle.
But it's the same as shares. Every day I could read everything to do with CBA. Oh, they got fined. Oh, they lost customers. Oh, they got this, I got that. But man, I'm keeping that share for 30 years. It goes up, it goes down, it goes left, it's got right. If I just constantly work at it, reinvest in it, it works.
Yeah.
But same thing can be applied for business. Obviously, there's a little bit more risk because the business impacts your cash that you take home.
Personal.
That's why the importance, like last episode, talk about the importance of the two. But have a 1 year goal or a 1 month goal. All good. Have a 5 year goal. And I was probably a bit anti long-term goals, because it's just like, man, I don't know what's going to happen in 30 years. And I don't have a long-term goal for the business. I just want to be in business.
Yeah, that's right. You set the goal of, I'm going to be around for 30 years. And this 1 year where maybe there is a recession, it doesn't really matter, because there's still 29 years to go. And in 29 years, there's a lot of days, there's a lot of things that can happen. There'll be a lot of opportunities that come in those 29 years. And as you said, there'll probably be another downturn in those next 29 years.
And you're just going to have to accept that in small business, there is an impact, but your ability to drive your small business is way more impactful than a recession.
Yeah.
True? You can update processes, you can get more clients.
And that's the difference as well between share trading. You don't have an active role in that. You're just in the market and it's trying to understand up and down. Whereas,
you have an active role.
You can change the direction.
You can 10 times your business in a recession, because you're starting at zero.
Yeah.
If you earn 10 grand in your business, you can make that 200 grand.
Yeah.
Which is a huge growth factor, irrespective of the market. And that's the important thing for small business owners. Don't worry about a recession. Understand the impacts.
Yep.
But seriously, you can grow your business, because as a small business, you have a low base. Every year, you generally will go up if you're doing the right things. A recession just means that you might not go up as fast
as what you thought.
But keep going.
Yeah.
Because the next year and the next year is better.
Then the other thing is, like, if there is people that do suffer in a recession,
they leave.
They leave, right? So there might be a business, down the road from you that is operating the same style of business, or competitor, or whatever it may be. They might leave the industry, and go and do something else
Yeah.
because, you know, maybe they haven't checked their personal life properly.
Yeah.
And
Or they're just older and they've had enough.
Or, they've just had enough, or, you know, it's just, hard times, or whatever the case may be, they might just leave. In that case, then there's just more market share for you.
And, you know, it's not like trying to be motivational, like stay forever, be patient. But like a lot of those values do make a difference when you're running your business. Like if you just think about it, like it's all good, we'll just get through this. And then usually after a session, there's a boom time. But what usually happens is people sadly leave industries and small business in a recession, which means that there are less competitors for you. And when the boom happens, you're at the forefront to catch it.
Yeah, because you were around. You've probably invested. You've done your processes.
Maybe you did some marketing and you were top of mind. So, you know, there is always opportunity in these recession times.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm saying go and spend all this money and sort it out, but just sometimes I think just surviving is growth. Yeah. Like surviving because maybe other people leave the industry or you've learned a bit more is massive, massive growth because it's a grind. Small business is a grind. And I just think you got to keep going every day, irrespective of the recession. Understand it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Amazing.
Done.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, Oz and I got our faces, albeit not that pretty, on YouTube now. We're on Spotify and a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're out there, please follow, subscribe, give us feedback. Obviously, this is new to us. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll bring you more next week.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thanks again, guys. Bye.